few days ago I showed you how to make yourself look like one of those ball-jointed dolls, but I didn't show you how to do the hand. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do this, and I'm going to be using a cream palette. First thing I'm going to do is select out the colours that I need. I'm going to be using a bit of pink, brown, some white, a little bit of black as well. And the first thing you want to do is add a pinky colour on your knuckles and any of the joints on your finger. Now depending on this skin tone, this is going to vary. If you've got anything from a tan to a darker skin tone, what you want to do is you want to change the pink for either something with an orange undertone, or you want to take something which is 2 to 3 shades darker than your own skin tone and apply that colour over your knuckles, your joints, your wrist, and then also any of the bends in your fingers. Then you want to take a darker colour, and this is where we're going to start drawing the joints around the wrist. You want to fill in that joint slot with a darker colour, and the easiest way to do this is imagine that you're drawing a mouse hole in a wall. And then what you want to do is start to add a shadow on the corners, and we're going to be starting off with the light colour and blending that out so that it creates a rounded shape. And then after that we're going to be moving on to a darker colour, and you want to try and layer these. Don't go straight from a very light colour to a very dark colour because it's very easy to mess up. But if you gradually build up these colours, it's a lot harder to mess up, and also it's going to look a little bit more realistic because you're going to have all those various different colours showing through, and it'll make it look more 3D and less flat. Finally, I'm going to move on to a colour which is close to black but not completely black. Then I'm going to use a lip liner and a light brown, and what you want to try and do is draw a line around the edge of that joint so that it looks like there's a raised area. And I prefer a lip brush for this just because it's a little bit easier for me to get that feathered edge, or get an art brush which is a little bit scuffed and damaged and has the bristles pointing in a few different directions, because that will help you get that feathered edge. Once I've done that, I'm going to be using a cream colour which is a few shades lighter than my own skin colour. Do not use white, you only want to use white when it's a very, very obvious highlight. Now going back to the fingers, I'm going to be taking that pink colour, and you want to move this in between the joints in your finger and try and bring it down the parts where your bones are. So if you feel in between your fingers, you're going to feel a little bit of a dip there. Follow that down and follow where the gaps between the finger bones are, and that's the part that you want to colour in with that very pale pink. Or if you have a darker skin tone, you want to switch that up for a colour which is 1 or 2 shades darker than your own skin tone, but with a little bit of either an orange or a red undertone depending on the undertones you have in your own skin tone. Now for the knuckles, what you want to do is you want to draw the line, and then you want to feather that out, and as you can see I've created a C shape, or an upside down C shape, on my knuckles as well as a little joint slot. And again we're going to be doing the same thing that we did earlier, starting off with a light colour and then gradually layering that up until eventually we end up on the darker colours. Now really I should have done this part before I started drawing the joints, but we're going to do it now. I'm going to add a little bit of brown and a bit more of that pink around the knuckles, also in the gaps between the fingers, and blending that out. You really want to over accentuate your knuckles especially, and then later on we'll be going over that with a highlighter just to make it look even more doll-like and fake. Now we're going to be moving on to the highlighter, and again I'm going to be using a cream colour. I'm not going to be using a pure white. That's going to be the last colour that we'll add on, and I'm just going to dabble this where I think I need it, and then I'm either going to blend it out with a fluffy blending brush or my fingers. And today I'm going to be using a combination of both, especially on my knuckles, just because I find that the warmth from my fingers helps melt the cream and blend it out a little bit more easily. I'm also going to add a highlight around the nails as well, which I'm also going to blend out, but you can start off by just outlining the nails, and then you can blend it out with your fingers or a brush. After that you just want to have a look at the hand, and anywhere that you think you need to have a few more shadows or highlights, go ahead and do that, blend out anything. Also, one thing that I did forget to do was to add a little bit of a shadow on the opposite side of my hand, which I'm going to go ahead and do now, and I'm going to be using a mixture of that pink and then also a little bit of a very light brown as well. But other than that, you're done.